Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely...
That sounds crazy, so buckle up. I celebrated a birthday a couple weeks ago, and it's the first birthday that my dad has not been here for, and that was really hard, but it is what it is. And my mom got me a little Build-A-Bear with his voice in it. Like, the little clicky thing was his voice. And it was so sweet and adorable, and so we're all sitting at the kitchen table having a lovely time listening to his voice, and all of a sudden one of his toy fire trucks goes off in the other room. Never once have I heard this thing go off in my life. The siren goes off, the lights go off. Like, I didn't know they had batteries in them. My dad never turned them on like that. So it was so creepy. And like, we weren't talking at the table, like we were just sitting there like listening to his voice, and then all of a sudden his thing lights up from the other room. And we recorded it all. So check it out and let me know what you think. Do you want a big piece? How big do you want?
Hey kiddo, hope you're doing well. I'm feeling much better now, so whenever you can, just come visit me, okay? Okay.
Shut up.
No way.
What?
That has not worked. That has not worked.
entirely true. I'll go first.
Okay, so in my house growing up, my childhood bedroom was attached to the attic. It was in my closet, and there was like this little wooden door on the other side behind my clothes, and when you opened it, you couldn't actually see into the attic. You could only see up the stairs that would take you to the attic. So I never messed with it. I just left it alone. I was like, I don't want to, this is too much. So I would barricade it. I would just leave the escape ladder for a fire in front of it. So I knew that if it was opened, I would hear it. And for a very long time, I always felt like there was a presence in my room. I didn't really know what was going on. It never felt like I was truly alone, and I was an only child of only children. So like, your girl was alone all the time. And I eventually moved my room around to the point where I had this little desk that was like a triangle style desk, so it went straight into the corner. And one night, I woke up in the middle of the night to my bunny rabbit banging against his crate, which he would do almost every night at almost the same exact time, 3:34 a.m. And one night I look over under this desk, and there's this little boy under there. And I can tell he's not real, but like, I don't really know why I can tell he's not real. It's just, maybe he was just like fainter. I just could tell he wasn't a real person. And I wasn't scared. He wasn't scary. He was just in this little like ball, kind of sitting under my desk, and he just looked sad. He just looked sad. And I mean, I didn't love that he was there, but I really didn't mind it too much, maybe because I was half asleep. So I went back to bed, woke up, he was gone, obviously, and I just kind of I went through my day, whatever. And every so often, I would end up waking up to my bunny at the same exact time, and he would just be under this desk in my bedroom. And my parents didn't believe in ghosts, and I didn't really tell anyone about it because I was just like, this is weird. What if I'm dreaming? I don't know what's really going on. That wasn't a conversation that my family and I had about ghosts, whatever. And I just kind of let it be. But as I got older, he never really went away. And I would always just get really creeped out in my house as I got older, and my family never understood why. Like, I didn't really like for it to be dark. I had a nightlight for years, like well into my teenage years, and it was just always because I knew there were other presence in the house. And he was, I'm going to tell you how he was dressed because it's going to play a role in a second. He looked like a little chimney sweep from Mary Poppins. He had the whole attire, the hat. He had what looked like soot on him, and I just thought it was because he lived in the attic upstairs, and that's how I justified it. And I just kind of was like, whatever, didn't really talk to him, didn't really converse with him, let it be. I moved out of the house once I went to college and became an adult, bought my house, moved out, and my dad lived in the house last by himself. He was working on selling the house and told me one night that he had a dream. And it was really weird because he was almost being shown the house by someone who he had never seen there, who he didn't know, who was a little kid, and he didn't really understand the importance of this kid, but this kid just wanted to show him around the house. And he was like, it was really daunting because I woke up and he was just kind of looking at me from the end of my bed. And I walked around with him. He didn't say anything. And then we just kind of went on our way, and that was it. And I was like, okay, so tell me more about this little boy. Because mind you, I had never told my family this little boy, what he looked like, anything like that. I just said that I felt like there was something in the house all the time. That's all I said. And he proceeds to tell me that it looks like he has like suspenders on, and like he's from like early 20s, not early 20s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, and that he was like kind of dirty. And I was like, oh, that's super interesting. Is there any chance he was wearing like a little hat like a chimney sweep would? And he goes, yeah, it kind of did look like one of those hats. And I was like, interesting, okay. And was he like almost covered in soot, like maybe he was a chimney sweep? And he goes, yeah, he was pretty dirty. And I was like, that's really interesting. And this was a boy, right? Like he was probably like 8, 9. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly about how old I would have pegged him for. And I was like, yeah, that boy has been living in my bedroom for almost my entire life. And you got to meet him, I guess, because you're the only one there. And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, he showed up in your dreams. Probably around 3 a.m. is when he came and popped by, because I know that you go to work at 4:30 a.m. He goes, yeah, I was awake for probably like an hour before my alarm went off for me to like go to work. And I was like, that's interesting. That is interesting. So I convinced my dad that ghosts are real and that I had been seeing his ghost for 15 plus years, and he got to meet him.
Unbelievable, but is entirely true.
Okay, I have video footage of this. I will share it at the end. Nobody thinks it's real. Like, it seems like it's doctored footage, but it's not. I swear on my life. Basically, both my sister and my old roommate used to work at this like music school daycare center for kids in the Upper East Side. The music classes would happen upstairs, but downstairs in the basement there was this like daycare situation, and you had to work down there. And they both hated being down there. And I'd been down there a few times too. It is really scary. Like, you know when you just get a feeling about a place? Like, that is the basement. It was horrible. They would both like hear voices when their co-teacher hadn't showed up yet, or like the cleaner would go downstairs and all the toys would be arranged in like a circle, and she'd be like in tears being like, are you guys playing a prank on me? I seriously, like, I don't feel safe here. The kids would all say really creepy shit. Like, they'd say like there's a really like mean guy in like the tunnel, like a little play tunnel thing, or like there's like someone mean over in like the dark corner of the basement.
So when COVID hit, obviously no one was going into the daycare. It essentially shut down. But the owners installed cameras just in case like anything happened while they weren't there. And it picked up the most insane shit ever. It's a minute and a half long, so here you go.
So I never tell the story because no one ever believes me, and also I kind of question my own sanity, and I'll be like, did that really happen? But I know that happened. I saw a girl's story time on here, and it just validated my whole experience because she said this happens a lot in Illinois. So I'm from Chicago, the east side, and around the time that this happened, I was like 16. I remember just getting my license, and I was so excited because I finally got a taste of freedom. I could do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want, and I was so excited. But my mom gave me an 11:30 curfew, so I was like the type of person who would like wait until the very last minute to leave wherever I was at to try to get home on time at 11:30. So I remember I was just leaving my friend's house, and I was almost home, y'all. Like I was like right around the corner from my house. So if you guys are familiar with Chicago, you might know where CVS High School is. So I was like on 87th. I was right by CVS, and then I remember turning left, right? And I turned left, and I was driving straight, and it was like I said, it was like around 11:30, so it was dark outside, and I looked and I saw a humongous animal. Like it was I don't know if it was a panther or a tiger. It definitely wasn't a tiger. It was like a big huge animal. And when I say like I almost shit my pants, like I was like I froze in the car, and I was at a stop sign when I looked over and I saw it, and he was just walking, and when I stopped, it looked at me, and like we locked eyes, and then I just kept driving. I was like, oh my God, like I had to get home because I need to make my curfew or I was gonna get beat up and I was gonna get in trouble. So I was like, let me just try to get home and forget about that, right? And I was like, I'm gonna like tell my mom when I get home, right? And so I got home. My mom was livid because I missed curfew, and I didn't even end up telling her. I remember telling my friends the next day, and nobody believed me. So I remember like looking up, did an animal escape from the zoo? I found nothing on that. And like I said, like I lived in the city, so it wasn't normal for us to see like huge ginormous panthers or whatever the case may be, whatever animal that was. It wasn't normal to see stuff like that at all. And I don't know, like to this day I always think like, what was that? Like it was so strange. Like it was such a strange looking animal, like something an animal I've never seen before, an animal I don't even know if it exists. So yeah, y'all, like very, very weird experience.
Now remember how I've always said to be careful what you say out loud, because you may essentially be inviting things into your space that you may not want there. This story I'm about to share is one of the biggest reasons as to why I don't say the V word out loud. I don't say the SW word out loud. I don't say a lot of these words out loud. But let's just get to it. For the sake of the story, we're going to call her Kelly. One night, Kelly was home alone just scrolling through TikTok when she ran across a creator talking about the legend of the SW. Kelly started to get the feeling that the creator was about to use their proper Navajo name. So she decided that she was going to get out of the video before the creator said it out loud. Mind you, using their Navajo proper name is a huge no-no. Before Kelly could get out of the video, the creator said the name out loud, and it was just out there. Right after this name was said out loud, Kelly started to hear what sounded like footsteps on her roof. At first, she thought that there was absolutely no way that this being heard its name being called and jumped on her 3rd-story roof. But just to be safe, she decided to go around and check out her windows, lock them, and make sure her curtains were shut. That night, she could not sleep. She kept tossing and turning. She kept feeling like there was this impending doom upon her. Fast forward a couple days, Kelly was at a home where she takes care of these 4 elderly ladies. While Kelly's at the house, in the middle of the night, she hears what sounds like this wailing coming from outside the window. Her first thought was that it was probably one of the ladies, so she went to check up on them, and one by one, all of the ladies were asleep. Kelly decides to ignore it and go about the rest of her night. Now, fast forward a couple weeks, Kelly is at the same home taking care of the 4 older ladies, but 2 of them are out of town. So it's just the lady that lives upstairs and the lady that lives downstairs. Kelly's in the kitchen cooking dinner when she hears somebody call her name. Now, mind you, the person that called her name sounded like one of the ladies that were out of town. So Kelly responds with, "I'm in the middle of cooking. Just give me a minute so I can step away." The voice then responds, almost like growling this time and more agitated, and says, "Can you just come over here? I need help." Now this time it sounded like the lady that was upstairs. So Kelly goes upstairs to her room, knocks on the door, and says, "Hey honey, did you need me? I heard you calling me saying that you needed my help." The lady looks at her like she's crazy and says, "No, I have not called you." Kelly just responds with, "Oh, I must have misheard," and just walks away. Kelly decides to check the rest of the house, and it was completely silent, but there was this eerie feeling about the whole house. Once Kelly's getting ready to go home at about 10 p.m., she's walking to her car and hears what sounds like a turkey. Now, mind you, in the area she lives at, there are no turkeys. Kelly assumes that it's probably one of the neighborhood kids messing around, so Kelly decides to respond by making that same sound. The minute Kelly does this, she hears what sounds like running coming from behind her. Whatever this was running straight for her car. Now, I'm gonna have to do a part 2 because TikTok has not given me 10-minute videos yet.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So this story's kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told this story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'd just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shake like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just fell sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need, but Sister Mary, which is the lady who always give us the things that we need, just hadn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. In Haiti, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right? So eventually my aunt came and told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early. It was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water. And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down. It's a 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right? So I just went on about my business. I told her, have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her, have a good day, and I continue on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news had been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine. Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. Then my sister told me, oh yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water. From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.